In the last episode of The Clueless Luthier, Mark was preparing the body of the guitar for binding. Let's now join that episode currently in progress.
All right. I decided that I'm going to use AC glue. I'm putting accelerant on right now. I put a little bit on earlier, but got distracted. So make sure that I'm okay. I was going to use Weldon and had trouble finding any at the stores locally. Did some research, and some people use AC glue, so that's what we're going to do because I'm impatient. Okay. You can't see it down here. I have a bunch of like about 2-inch pieces of tape all pulled off and ready. And here goes nothing. I'm going to put just a little bit here because I want to get a starting point.
So my GoPro decided not to listen to me when I asked it to turn on, which just goes to show even my technology doesn't listen to me. But right about here is where I didn't push the binding down far enough in a couple places, which left a gap between the binding and the side of the body, the ledge. So I'm going to have to deal with that now. The reason I mention it here is that in a moment I'm going to be discussing it as I start working on the top. So back to our regularly scheduled video.
Okay, this is going to be tricky. I do not have fine dexterity, and what I'm going to do, getting this purfling in place can be a challenge. So I think what I'm going to do is tape it back here. Make sure it's long enough. Yep. Then drop the glue in. Try to remove my thumb. Okay, so that gives me a start. I'm going to let that sit just a second there. Just out of the way. All right. Yeah, go ahead. More of this done. A little more accelerator. I'm unsure if that's helping me or hurting me at this point, but now to be careful about getting this purfling right. All looks good. That's right. I'm going to be taking this slow. All right, it's all glued up. Where's my, I'll clean it up in a minute. It's all glued up, and other than the gap on the bottom, the top went pretty darn well. So I'm gonna order some black CA glue to fix that. That was unfortunate. It felt like I was all the way down, but I was not. But I'm really happy that the purfling, I was really worried about that. And so far, it looks like it's pretty darn good. So yeah, there's going to be a pause until I can get this CA glue. I might be able to start after this sits for 24 hours.
start working on part of it. Certainly bringing the edges down with the scraper and getting that ready. So, all right, I'll see you soon. Okay, I was taking these off and I thought I should realize I should probably show you. The recommendation I had was to use a heat gun or a dryer, and it's going to make some noise, but to make sure that the tape comes off without taking any wood grain up. So all I'm doing is warming it up a bit. Doesn't take much. And it comes off a lot easier. I'm also trying to not pull with the grain, or at least not straight back. That's the grain. All right, so I have some more glue I have to take off, and I'll have to scrape this down. This is definitely high here, but yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. I'm gonna let this sit for a lot longer as it is. What I wanted to do is I'm gonna go through here and look for any loose spots, anything where the place where the glue maybe didn't get, and make sure I hit those so they can sit overnight. Because I'm not going to do any scraping till tomorrow. I'm not seeing them yet, but I'm going to take a close look. Alright, I kind of started on this a little bit. I wasn't going to, but the super glue is definitely hardened. I'm just taking a scraper and slowly knocking down the lip. Part of it's a little high, like I had mentioned. I hadn't pushed it down far enough. Nothing I can do that until my black CA glue comes in. Just want to get it roughly even first. Then I'll slow down and take a closer look. Part of this, I decided I wanted to take some of this off so I could better see if I have any loose spots, because I didn't see any. I expected to see some. So it was just hard to see with all the excess on there. So we're going to start with the back again. It's the easiest and least visible. Alright, we'll start on the top now. All right. Boy, that was a lot of work. I think that I obviously used enough glue. because that's a lot of what I was taking off is glue that had excess glue. So that's about all I can do until I get my black CA glue. So I hope this will show up. That's one of the gaps I gotta fill. So I'll basically put the glue in, let it dry, and scrape and sand it again. And it should just disappear into the binding. So, and that may be a couple days, so I'll see you then. Well, got my black super glue in. So I am going to try to patch where I have a gap between the binding and the body of the guitar. In looking at this, I realized I did a test piece on just a piece of wood, and I was really happy with it. It turned out great. You really cannot see the boundary on it between the binding and the glue. But gravity is an issue. This is medium glue, AC20, but it's still a little runny, which is probably fine. But I think what I'm going to do is make sure that the gluing surface I'm doing is pretty flat. And I'll kind of explain that. You probably can't see it where your camera's pointing right now, but so why don't I fix that? All right, right now this area is nice and flat. So this is where I'm going to start. I also have a gap up here. So what I'm going to do for that is after this is dried, I'm going to find something. I'm approximating this. I think I need something taller to do this part so that it's not just like running downhill. That's what we're going to try. So I'm going to start right here because that is the simplest. All right, let's see. Maybe about to here I can start. I want it to end up a little proud. I don't think I'm doing it on first pass, at least not on my experience with the test piece. This looks pretty good there. So I'm probably going to have to do a couple passes. There's a little bit of a gap here as long as I'm here. Let's see if I can make that a little better. Okay. A little accelerant. Let that sit up a minute. All right, that's dried, but I can still feel an indentation. So we're going to do a second coat. I think that's going to be the norm here. That's looking better. Let me see, I go a little bit up here. Nah, it's going to run down. Okay, and this. So I came up with an idea to make this move along a little faster. This takes a little longer to dry than I expected. But I think the easier way to make this flat, I'm going to adjust a little bit, is to actually gently put this in my table vise, hold it at the correct level. Then this is dry enough now that it can continue drying. Now I can move along and get a little bit more done here. Okay. And don't need any there, so all right, we'll let that set up a little bit. Okay, I ran into some things on the other side of the guitar that I didn't care for as much, and so I decided to do some experimentation here. What I found so far that I like, putting too much on didn't work. I ended up with gaps, and so what I'm doing, I'm going to try, first of all I taped it off to make it easier to scrape off. I'm hoping this won't be a problem. This is, instead of the spray on, This is accelerator. I'm putting on first so that it will adhere in that area quite better. I have this applicator to see if I can be a little more accurate, and hopefully it hasn't dried up. There we go. Still not very good with this thing. And I think if I have to, I'll do thinner layers. We'll see. Probably would be good if I put on my visor for this. I'll do it in the next layer. This stuff is kind of hard to scrape off, so I'm going to leave it at that. Actually, I put a little bit right here. Shouldn't run too much, that'll give it a base. And I'm going to let that dry. Right. I continued with that method. I would do a layer, I'd come back and look. I'd see if I needed another one. There may still be some that I'll have to do, but it's a little hard to see for sure with the tape. So I'm going to start taking this off and see, hopefully I won't have any issues. Oh, okay, I like that idea so far. Sticking a little bit there. Have to peel that off, but that wouldn't be hard. Okay. I pull it at an angle this way, it comes off better if I can once I get it going. Yeah. Oh, got under there a little bit. That's too bad. Okay, do this side. Yeah, I like that. Some areas it gets under a little bit, but it's still better than it was, I think. A little bit there too. All right. Get this a little bit better. Grab a glove here. It's looking better. That is looking better. All right. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the whole thing once. I could use a little bit, whoops, a little bit more here. Yeah, I'll work on this a little bit and come back. All right, I have sanded the entire thing. Did some more scraping. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. There was in the saddle here, if any of you remember, the waist clamp that I had to force on. That took some work, but I was able to get it out. That took quite a bit of elbow grease. The one thing I want to show you that was recommended here, and I'm going to use a 220 grit, recommendation was to go along the edge of the binding. It's really soft, so it's not going to take much. And just take off that sharp corner, especially after scraping it would create, just to make it, yeah, a little more comfortable. I doubt if it takes much work. This, you may take it in layers, as I call it, to see, make sure I don't go too far. That's better. See the back. Getting pretty warm. Here, that's better. All right, well, I'll double check that. But other than that, I call the body done, ready for finishing. Next will be onto the neck, but that is also going to need me to
bust it a little bit on deciding on how I want to do my inlays. So that'll certainly be a part of it. But the final voicing, a little hard there. Nice. All right. Well, thanks a lot for stopping by for this. This is probably either going to be a long video or I'm going to separate it in two because every part of this took longer than I really thought it was going to. So thanks for sticking around, whether this is binding A or binding B. Thanks. Bye.